Hey, everybody. All right. We're back. One Piece, 1190, 1190. 10 more chapters until we...
What's up, y'all? You know what time it is.
Hit another
it's
new
about
digit.
to be that time.
Still take like 6 months to get there or something, probably. Hopefully it won't be that long. Let's see. All right, so last week we ended with Scopper coming to save the day, which is not the outcome that I wanted. And I'm hoping in this chapter, at least, the other Straw Hats, get to do something. And when I say the other Straw Hats, I don't just mean like Sanji and Zoro, because we know we're going to get their moments. I need everybody else to get something. But full disclosure, I'll let you guys know if I'm spoiled. This week, I did see some memes, so I have an idea of something that happens to Scopper, unfortunately. So I hope that's not like the big moment of the of the chapter. But yeah, I've got I don't know anything else. I just know about a physical thing. Okay, so we've got chapter 1190, Those Whose Death Brings Celebration. Reader request, Shanks grilling fish for breakfast in a port town surrounded by cats. It's interesting seeing something from back then. All right, here we are. We're on page 1. Luffy is still a pincushion. The tree that he was on has been chopped down, I guess, by Scopper. Or maybe the impact from the last one. I can't exactly remember. Either way, Luffy's on his way down. Timber. We've got Scopper clashing with Emu. Left hand to the Pirate King, going up against the King of the World. Oh, that tree has been sliced into a bunch of pieces. Okay, next page. Oda is not shy with just showing the sheer annihilation that Luffy has gone through. Just like, hey, let's see all of this. Is this Emu potentially pulling the swords out so that he can use them again, though? Is that what's happening? Because it seems like they're leaving his body there. Oh, they're flying at Scopper. And then Scopper uses instant transmission, I guess. Okay. Let's see this man full top tier mode. This is cool because it's like in 2 pages, we've essentially seen more from Scopper now than we've seen with Rayleigh. Yeah. All right. Anyway, next page. You're a hideous sight, like nothing of this mortal world. Who are you? Oh, I like that line. I like that. One who knows the world. I like that. Damn, Scopper landed with some sauce. He's got the Super Saiyan 3 hair going up in the in the air. He's got his back turned to him. Like he's going to just check on Luffy. Okay. How's the volume and everything today, guys? Scopper says, hey. Oh, I like this. Now this I like. This man grabs him by the throat. He's giving them the, you're supposed to be the chosen one. Act like it speech. On your feet, Straw-Hat Luffy. I'm disappointed in you. Aren't you ashamed at getting saved by an injured old man like me? This is Scopper's best moment right here. Hands down. Nothing from Scopper has made me like him as much as this particular moment right now. The music isn't playing? Let me fix that. Let me see. It says it is. Make it louder. I made it a little bit louder. Let me know if it's too loud. Your white form, Emperor of the Sea. Don't get full of yourself. Hey, old man, let me go. You want to die here? No, I'm not going to die. Let go. You're a dead man walking. It's pathetic. What happens next after you're dead? I love this. I love this. I kind of wish it was a Straw Hat giving him this speech, though. But I love this. This is like when Zoro would check him. But this is a man who knows the world, right? He knows what's supposed to happen. He knows the prophecy. He knows how important Luffy is. He knows how much faith Shanks and Rayleigh put into him. And this man is not impressed. And neither am I. So check this man. Check him. I love this. Next page. Luffy's eyes. The life goes out of them. I can't protect my friend's country. Alright, this is that end of Sabati stuff I wanted to see. That's right. And what happens to the crew you brought all this way? Their lives are in danger. Correct. Now you listen closely. On this sea, the higher you rise, the more enemies you have. The King of the Pirates is a title for those whose death brings celebration. Because everybody else wants to sit in that seat. Ooh, talk. Talk. It's been a while since we had some good dialogue. If you're imagining you can be king of the pirates with nothing but peace and sunshine and rainbows, save us all the trouble and go home. Damn it. You're not cut out for this. Now stay out of my way, brat. I love it. I love it. This was worth Scopper showing up. Luffy needed this. I needed this. You needed this. I haven't really liked Scopper. He's just kind of been there for me. But not anymore. I see him. I see you, Scopper. Next page. All right, so he yeeted Luffy across the, the tree here. Damn it, that stupid old man talking all trash about me. I'll show you. Lifts his arms. Mantis axe style. A mantis appears behind him. Mantis plum. Spins around. He's attacking Emu, who's rotating a staff. Is this a joke to you? You want to kill him, don't you? I do. Next page. Does he really remind you so much of Joy Boy? Who are you? Do you recognize Mu? Onebame Toshiro. What do you know? This man better say everything. We got Emu dual wielding as well to go up against Scopper. The words of Joy Boy. But don't get it twisted. We're not blindly obedient to some man from the past we never met before. We just want to see our captain's dream brought to light. Cough, cough, captain. Ooh, I'm gonna get that old man for making fun of me. He'll get better. Just a moment is all I need. Who is this captain? The king of the pirates, Goldie Roger. Talk that talk, Scop. Big Scop. Where's this energy been this whole arc? I'm glad you finally decided to show up. This disgusts Moo. Why is the D on the King of the Pirates? Spread not that name. Yes, great one. I see. The very man who turned this into the era of piracy. Why would the remnants of his crew protect Straw Hat Luffy? Because you're going out of your way to eliminate him. Is that not proof enough? Please, please, give me something. Give me something. If even you see him as a threat. Okay. Someone will be born and eventually surpass us. We were just too early. Tell me why you were too early. Those lines, we were too early. They're coming back. I'm standing up like Michael Keaton right now. Come on. Tell me more. Then you're telling us that this boy is the very man we've all been waiting for. I've been talking about this every week for years. Look here. You got Big Scop. You got Shanks. You got Rayleigh. You got Crocus. You got Whitebeard. You got Odin. I have no idea why Odin's here. But Shanks and Rayleigh have had conversations about Luffy. Basically saying that I think that Luffy's the one that we've been waiting for. Crocus literally says something to that effect. Is he the one we've been waiting for? Whitebeard knows everything that Roger told him under the sakura trees. Marco, don't let that boy die. Why? Why? I hope that we get into the, more of the why here. Gaban obviously also knows all of these things. Odin would know because he was there, but I like that every other person has met Luffy, so Odin being there is weird to me. Because Odin didn't meet Luffy. This would have worked better for the people, just the people that have met Luffy. But, hey, whatever. Indeed, we have been foolish. Perhaps we have mistaken numerous mere coincidences for destiny. Let us end that now. No, you idiot. Wait. Okay. So Scopper talked all that talk, and then Emi was like, Oh, I really need to kill him. Got you. BRB. Alright, let's see what happens. Shout out to Barry, member for 63 months, said, hello, Randy, I can't stay because my sister may be having her baby today, but this was an interesting one. Like, de-stream, everyone. That's awesome. Congrats to your whole family and your sister, and welcome to the world. That baby soon. Love that. Love that. Next page. Sorry about this one, Jewel Tree Adam. It wasn't my intent to eat you. Ow. Damn, these creaky joints. It sucks getting old. Old jerk. I don't care if he's friends with Rayleigh. Stig... ... Gate of God. What's this man doing? Yo, what? Did he use his Conqueror's Hockey to basically send, like, a Kamehameha Conqueror's Blast at him? Like, why does it look like he's getting hit with a Dragon Ball Z attack? That's wild. Especially since I'm wearing a Dragon Ball Z shirt right now. Okay. Okay. Next page. Alright. The tree collapses. Emu's fallen down with it. Still, the Pirate King's crew, even decrepit. You're so determined to believe. Yachi Takaru, One Bam. That's a lot of slashes and things from both sides. Barry said, thank you, everyone. Send the Savage crew well wishes. There's a chance her name will be Vivian, so you already know what the nickname will be. Love that. Alright, next page here. Like you aren't. Is that Emu's reflection in his own blade? It's a neat panel. The underworld. Trees crashing down. The sun world. What was that? Was that Luffy? No, it's not. There's somebody else up there. Someone devastatingly strong. Damn. Oh, man. Scopper joined the club. And that's what I saw the memes about, so I knew that he lost his arm. It's still a wild panel to see. So I didn't actually see the panel, I just saw jokes about it. I still think that Scopper should, you know, Obi-Wan. We don't need all these characters in the end game. Like, some people gotta go. And after this display, woo, you can go out. You're going out swinging. Turn that tree into onion rings. Alright. Even though I was not for Scopper being the one showing up to defend Luffy, and I really wanted crew to show up. And it's funny how we were talking about, like, you know, situations where maybe Nami joins the one-arm club. Somebody did join the one-arm club, but a lot of people have been joining the club this arc. That's been like one of Oda's defaults. Whether it's one leg club, one arm club, one finger club, if you're talking about Gerd, but, you know, now she's got him sewed back on. This is a highly memorable chapter. When we start talking about, like, end of the year rankings and stuff like that, like, this is something that's going to stand out to me, because this is something that I've actually wanted. Like, I don't know if everybody else feels the same way as me, but, like, Luffy getting just verbally assaulted, verbally low diffed, as I saw in the chat, was sensational. Luffy has been too complacent. He has been too carefree. We're fighting against the king of the world, and it's like it's almost like the danger didn't really settle, because for the most part Luffy has just been laughing and giddy like the whole time, and that's just part of Gear 5, right? But when the life leaves his eyes in the panel where he realizes like he might lose, that's the old Luffy that I remember. You know, when he's in over his head, he knows. Gear 5 gave Luffy too much confidence. And confidence is great. You know, you gotta back it up too. There's still things that need to be learned. And man. You know, we've talked about many time skips where the crew learns hockey, you know, learns how to really channel all this stuff. And we've talked about Scopper being the one to teach him, but at this point I actually want Scopper to die. And then Rayleigh can appear. And then he can, like, finish the training or something. After Emu's left and all that. Which isn't an idea that I've considered before, but could be interesting. Luffy, like, if Luffy can't do what Scopper just did, like, there's no hope. There's no hope. And, you know, channeling his hockey like that, that's not something that we've seen Luffy do yet. And I don't think he's just going to wake up and, like, you know, he's not Taskmaster. He's not, well, he kind of is like Taskmaster, actually. Because he picks up moves that people do all the time. But that's more physical, like, because he can manipulate his body. When it comes to hockey, like, I don't know. I mean, if he saw Scopper do that, could he do it again? I don't know.
Savage.
I'd rather he didn't just, like, see it and then it's like, okay, I got it. I can do that. Although that is kind of what he did in Udon. Yeah. We'll see. I don't know. I just loved all of this talk. We all needed this. This is like, honestly, like the perfect answer and scenario to everything that's been going on, because it's like, we know that there's a plan. That Shanks, Rayleigh, Crocus, Whitebeard, Scopper, they were all in on this plan. They're looking for the boy that Roger said is going to surpass them. Shanks bet on Luffy. Scopper saying, if you see him as a threat, then you're telling us that boy is the very man we've been waiting for. He's him. Which justifies everything that Scopper said and did. It's just like, bro, we haven't been sitting around for 20 years waiting for you, and this is what we get? Get it together, man. That's cool. I love that. And he jumps up in the air, does like his own little galaxy impact. It's insane. but he's done. He's out. And then I think last time we were talking about there's another break. His magazine's taking a break. Is that true? Shout out to KPro88. Appreciate the super. Said Luffy getting told was needed because even Goku had more urgency than that man. Hopefully it means something. Hey, that's what I'm saying, you know. Ugh. It better stick with Luffy. I want to see something change in him. I love how Scopper, you know, I don't remember the line completely, but he's just like, hey man, if you think being the Pirate King is like sunshine and rainbows and friendship, like, that's not what this is about. It's like, there's a lot going on in this world, okay? We were trying to, like, fix it. And if you're not about fixing it and all that, then I don't know what you're doing. A masterclass from Scopper, indeed. Sylvan said, I don't see Rayleigh coming here. He never really brings in a lot of old characters. Well, I don't mean that Rayleigh would come to Elbaf. I mean that we would, like, leave Elbaf and we would converge with Rayleigh or something. But I do want, like, a whole crew training arc, yeah. Time Lord, I wonder, are you gonna add a soundbite for the new Robert Pattinson clip? You know how this looks, right? I've been doing rounds on Twitter. I don't need the sound clip because I can do a Chris Hansen impression. Yeah. Magmortar, you playing Marvel Tokon? I played the beta and I liked it. I don't know when I'm going to pick it up because my computer can't handle it. I don't want to play it on computer. And then I really play Xbox. I have a PlayStation, but that's like, it's more Chrissy's. So, and she's playing games right now. So I don't know when I'm going to get around to playing it. I'll eventually get it though. Jin said the Gabon trash talk with Luffy feels like Croc's trash talk with Luffy back in Alabasta. Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of callbacks to that. And I mean, you know, Gabon holding Luffy in the air doesn't, you know, only helps with the comparison. Anya Love said, really hope we get a minute process the lore and Harley reading after the fight. Something will happen to Emu, and we'll have a little bit of time to process things. Probably. Shout out to K-Pro for Big Donut. W's in the chat. Really appreciate you, K-Pro. K-Pro said, is there a chance Luffy is the one only because they are willing to help him? Let's see where you're going with this. They're making him the one by supporting him so much. So he's quite literally chosen by his present interactions. Like, it's just the person the world will choose when it's ready for change. I mean, it's an interesting thought, and Scopper's words kind of definitely, like, put that into perspective. Because One Piece, by its nature, is a chosen one story. But what you're suggesting here is kind of like, what if Oda is trying to subvert the chosen one narrative? I think one of the best examples of subverting the chosen one narrative is Blade Runner 2049. If you guys haven't seen it, it's a phenomenal movie. It's a movie about a guy who thinks he's the main character and then finds out he's not the main character. And it's just an awesome movie, beautiful. But when it comes to One Piece, you know, there's ways that I think Oda could have tackled this idea a little bit better, but it's almost like Ace was that. Ace was the character that, you know, he seemed like he could have been the main character, but then, you know, the world says that he wasn't. But Luffy says the same things that Roger says. So Shanks gets excited. You know, whether or not he was actually in the Goa Kingdom trying to find Ace or not, and feed him the fruit. The fruit called to Luffy. And Luffy ate it. So regardless of everything that Shanks, Rayleigh, Scopper, and everything say, the Chosen One element still applies because of the fruit. And if we learn more about the fruit and that there are souls in the fruit and that it really did call to Luffy, then we're in a Chosen One story and he is exactly who everybody thinks he is and what he's supposed to be. If we're subverting the Chosen One story and the fruit doesn't matter, then yes, he could be a Chosen One by circumstance. Everybody's saying that he's the one. Like Shanks, essentially, you could argue that Shanks manipulated this boy into becoming the person that they wanted him to be. Now, we've probably met every character in One Piece that is a top tier, other than the man marked by flames, who may be somebody that we are aware of. We don't know. But at this point, who else is going to be that person if it's not Luffy? Especially if the prophecy says 20 years from now, right? But it would be fun if the story tries to shake that up. Maybe Kaido's, I guess you couldn't be Joy Boy either, line actually comes back around. And it's like, is Luffy the return of Joy Boy? Is it Blackbeard? Is it somebody else? Is it Loki? I'd love for that doubt to be placed for a little bit. And, maybe this chapter is the start of that. But regardless, Shanks, Rayleigh, Scopper, Crocus, Whitebeard, they all saw something in Luffy. And they all saw the same thing. And it was exactly what Roger was saying. So you can make the argument for both sides that he is the chosen one because the fruit chose him, and everybody's been helping him along the way to get there. And then you could say the opposite of that, where it's like he wouldn't have gotten as far if Shanks didn't inspire him. If Rayleigh literally didn't train him to be the guy. If Crocus didn't give them the log pose to get to the next island. If Whitebeard didn't randomly tell all of his crew to protect him. But it's like it's these are the fun questions, because it's like, is that Luffy?
Savage.
Is that what Mihawk said? Is it that power that's bringing the people to him? Is it something that's innate in Luffy? Or could we get to the point where everybody did all of this and then it's like, no, actually Luffy's not the guy? That'd be a crazy, like, I mean, after 30 years, like, I don't know how the internet would react to that. I think Luffy is the guy, but he just needs to realize that this is going to take some time. It's going to take some work. And just because he's got a fancy title now and a new form, it doesn't mean that he's ready. Okay, Pro, appreciate the super again. Said, I 100% agree, but he just gets so much help at very critical moments. I know, and I just talked about a lot of those critical moments, right? Yeah. That's the tough part of it. But it's like, are they waiting for someone that's able to do it all on their own and doesn't need anybody? Or do they have to be united? You know, what if we meet Joy Boy and he's just this prodigy that, like, never needed anybody and was just, like, unfathomably strong on their own and didn't rely on any friends to get somewhere, and lost because he didn't trust his friends to get to the next stage. Kind of like the Odin story, right? Tried to put it all on himself instead of uniting. And then maybe, you know, the story that Oda's trying to say is like, no, you need to accept help when it comes. And that the only, you know, true path to peace is a united front. And one man by themselves can't instill peace alone. Because even behind every great man is a team of people that help that man be great. So, you know, it could be something like that. Let's see this. I think everyone will be confused because they don't know who Emu is. And Robin's like, check out this backstory I'm reading. Yeah. Scopper and Luffy are fighting for their lives, and Robin's just like, oh, wow, that's crazy. You should read this. Ace was the 90s bad boy protagonist, which isn't bad at all, but the OP world needed someone more joyful. Yeah, Ace is kind of like, you know, for Simpsons reference, he's Poochie the dog. Came in, and then his planet needed him and he left. How did Gabon know about the white form? Can it be that Roger had the fruit but didn't get to the white form he didn't know about and only got to know at the end in Laugh Tale? I mean, that's been a theory for years, but I feel like it's been... I think it's very much implied that Roger didn't have a fruit at this point. You know, that was an old theory. Somebody had to have had the fruit in one of the previous generations, though, for them to understand it. But I think that the white form hadn't been achieved in a really long time. But Shanks knew about the white form too, because when the new poster comes out, he has like a different reaction to that. Like, he literally changes his tune. Like, that's when he says, okay, it's time. So there's something about the prophecy and about the lore that, like, the fruit is required in some way. Shanks went out of his way to get that particular fruit because it's tied to all of this. This is the fruit that eluded the world government for centuries. And that's because I think it's the fruit that directly counters Emu. But Luffy has no idea who he is or what the form is or that he's even able to counter. That's why, you know, I talk about it all the time. If Emu can flip people over and turn them into their black dark selves on this game board, then Luffy should be able to flip people over and turn them into Gear 5 white versions on this game board, and the two sides will clash. Jomi Reversi and I don't know, Joy Reversi.
Savage.
Crow said it's a bit of a Taoist paradox. Luffy gets the help because he is the guy, but he is the guy because he got the help. Yeah. It's fun to talk about, though. Shout out to Kate Pro 88. Appreciate the super. Said, I gotta head out after this one. But Luffy said heal and healed. My boy might not need to eat to heal anymore, which never made sense. Dude's fruit is super OP. So I remember him saying heal, but did he heal when he said that? I'm going back to that. Heal, get better. Just a moment's all I need. I'm not seeing an indication that he actually was able to heal himself, though. I don't know which panel says that. I mean, he is getting up, though. If he is able to heal himself just by that, I mean, and his eyes are normal at the end. But like we always talk about, Willie Allen, whatever you believe in this world,
Savage.
can happen if you imagine it. So if he's imagining healing, truly believes and truly wants it, he might be able to do it. K-Pro said his face didn't look so exhausted when he said old man. I'm just assuming. Yeah, no, I did pick that up. Like, you know, his eyes were a little more wild, you know, and he didn't have any pupils in most of the other scenes, but then he suddenly has them back at the end, so. But I think we literally do need a panel of Luffy like looking at himself and saying like, "Oh wow, I actually did heal," which is crazy and wild and goofy, and you know some people might not like that, but I do think that would be within the realm of his power set based on everything that we talk about each week when it comes to it. Shout out to Drenius, appreciate the super, said arrived late, Father's Day here. Did you already discuss Luffy's healing? That's what we're talking about now. Oda can be creating levers for Luffy to internalize that whatever he imagines becomes true without having to spell it out. Yeah, I mean, it's the Willie Gallen quote. Luffy wanted to become a genie last week or the week before or whatever, so he became a genie. He thought he could make goggles, so he did. He manifested a bat out of thin air. So, if he thinks of his body as a internal healing machine, it might turn into an internal healing machine. But it will actually need to get spelled out for people, I think. Because I don't think the casual reader's picking up on, you know, if you can imagine it, you can do it. Volkazard said, hold on, was Scopper the left or right arm of Roger? He would have been the left arm, and he lost his left arm. So it does mirror his position. Let's see. I don't think he healed yet, but Oda's setting it up for him to fight Emu on more equal foot because Emu's timer runs out. Before Emu's timer runs out. Yeah. Shout out to João Paulo, said, if Luffy's the chosen one, then of the two destined to meet, as the Sea Kings foretold, one of them is Luffy, who's the other? Hasn't happened yet, right? Is it someone new, or Dragon, or Loki, or Shirahoshi? The two sovereigns need to meet. I don't think Luffy's one of them. I do think that Shirahoshi is, because she is an ancient weapon. My headcanon is that it's Vivi. But Vivi and Shirahoshi did meet. So, I don't know. Yeah, they met at the Reverie. I don't know. We'll see how that has to all come to pass, but personally, I'd like it if it was Shirahoshi and Vivi. Luffy doesn't need to do everything. You know, let's let some other characters handle different parts of the story. Shout out to Time Lord. Said, what do you want Joy Boy to look like? Like Luffy and Roger? Or completely unique like Emu? Also, what's his laughter style? I say, boy, yo, 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 that's wild. I want Joy Boy to be unique. I don't want him to look like Luffy. I don't want him to look like Roger. I don't want to feel like Joy Boy was a blood descendant of these guys. I've had theories in the past about Joy Boy being perhaps not even human. Silhouettes would say otherwise. But, you know, it depends on what lore and mythology Oda wants to pull from. You know, there would be interesting if Joy Boy was like Chopper. A humanoid animal that, you know, maybe a snake, maybe a monkey, maybe, you know, something that like alienated him from other people. And then he had to gain their respect, find his way in the world. I would prefer if it was like a Chopper mirror. I think that would be fun. But, you know, we'll see. Because, I mean, especially now with the knowledge that Luffy's fruit is a human fruit. Like, if an animal ate it, they would, in theory, turn into a human. So, I don't know. Monkey said, Randy, what? Roger literally said that someone else will be born is the one that will surpass them, and the chapter just confirmed it. What are you talking about? What's this in reference to? Is this about Time Lord's thing? Or not Time Lord, the Chosen one. I would prefer if it's a thing where like Luffy stands in his own category. He's already the chosen one. He is the one that's going to like bring peace to the world in some way. But the sovereigns, I don't need Luffy to be one of them. I feel like there should just be two separate characters that have another job amongst all of this. Drenius supered and said, now that you said that about Chopper, what if the human fruit can expel demons? Have we seen Luffy fight anyone? Domi reversed. Did we? I don't know if we did. But I've been waiting for an explanation on the Chopper stuff we all have. I've also been waiting for what model Chopper's fruit is for years. Even before we got Luffy's confirmation that he was a human fruit model or something. It's like every Zoan fruit was a blank model something. So, you know, years ago it was like, when we got Monster Point for the first time, it was like, is Luffy a human fruit model giant? You know, and it's like, that was him channeling Elbaf giants or something, you know, before we had more context in the story. But, you know, at this point, it could be something completely wild and original and mythological. Shout out to Dak in the chat. Crush said Momo and Shirahoshi seem like good candidates. And yeah, Momo and Shirahoshi, that makes sense to me as far as the sovereigns. Because I feel like Luffy should be the outlier, and then the sovereigns should be like actual blood destined kings and queens. But I still want it to be Vivi and Shirahoshi. Where is it confirmed that it's Luffy? Because I feel like it's confirmed about Shirahoshi, but I don't feel the confirmation that Luffy is a sovereign. What'd you think about this one, Dak? Because I loved it. Luffy needed everything that he got in this chapter. I finally like Scopper. So what else is everybody talking about with this chapter? What are the things that people expect going forward? What do people feel like we're gonna get now? Dax said, "Dude, I love this chapter. Me too. This chapter is gonna be at the top of my end of the year list for sure." Like I loved all the Brook flashback stuff, but this chapter was better than all of that. Just because it was so necessary for like story progression. Dax says, Scopper may have the single biggest jump in my favorite character rankings that anyone has ever had from one chapter. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. The entire time I was reading this chapter, I was just like, this dude is elevating for me, like, so fast. Because I have not liked him this arc. You know, like, I mean, like, he's been serviceable. I didn't like his introduction. I was very vocal when that happened, like, the I yield stuff. He's kind of just been there. The whole arc hasn't contributed too much. And then there was this, which is exactly what I wanted from him. And everything I didn't know I wanted from him also, all at the same time. People really like Gabon's speech. I really like Gabon's speech, so. Volkazard said the line that Emu wants to kill Luffy, reinforcing him to be important, is so fire. Yeah. Like, I'm sure it's not lost on people that this chapter is important. Gross said, I think Elbaf's going to wrap up quick. Yeah, by 1200 for sure. This chapter would be episode 13 of the anime in 2028, so 13 more episodes for 2028. I think we wrap up Elbaf in those 13 chapters episode. People are debating whether Kuban will die or not. I hope so. I mean, like, after everything that he just did, sayonara, buddy, you went out swinging. I don't see. I don't think we need more of them. This is the best we're ever gonna get of Scopper. Dax said, I feel pretty strongly that Luffy's going to get a healing ability somehow. Either some weird life return or Conqueror's power-up, not sure, but Luffy keeps trying to heal, so it's gotta go somewhere. If you think you can do it, Willie Gallen, if he believes hard enough that he'll heal, it'll happen. You know, there's also the Peter Pan element, which is something I talked about last week. You know, clap if you believe, and Tinkerbell will get back up. And there's so much Peter Pan influence on this story. Shout out to Shao Paulo said, are the two sovereigns also two of the gods, or is it all different people? And ever since we got to Elbaf, no one puts Momo in their theories anymore. Is he one of the sovereigns or one of the gods? Well, Momo was born after Roger talks about the sovereigns. So it would be tough to say that Momo is one of them. But I have, thought of Momo as like a conduit for ancient weapons, like in the same way that Shirahoshi is. Like, Shirahoshi can control the Sea Kings. Momo can control Zunisha, which, is Zunisha a land king of some kind, or is Zunisha a person that was, turned into that? Like, is it a curse? What's the, we still need an answer there on that. I just don't like the idea of Luffy being one of the sovereigns, particularly because he already is a god. So it's like, I feel like the gods and the kings should be different. I don't think any of the sovereigns should have devil fruits. But, we'll see where Oda wants to take the story. There's some speculation that the Honibami Toshiro sword Imu used this chapter is a sword for Ethan Baron, Venus Juro's family. Okay. Andrew Knowles said, I don't think Kaban dies. He lost the arm. That's a consequence. I don't think he'll die. I'd like it, though. I'm just tired of Oda using maiming as a placeholder for death. I just, we don't need all of these old men in the endgame. Let some of them, stand on business. He's part of the team that knows that, hey, in 20 years, there's going to be some kid that's going to show up, and we got to do everything we can to protect him so that he gets in, so that he does what Roger wanted. So now he's seeing all this happen. He said it himself. Because you're going so hard for that boy, now I know he's really the one. Shanks and Rayleigh said it. I've got no reason not to believe it. I don't think he's really that guy right now. But they do. So maybe he'll become the guy. Maybe I can shake him out of this apathy and get him to be that guy. But You know? I just think at this point he's a character that'll be stronger in death than in life because he's never going to do anything better than this chapter. This was too good. If it requires clapping to get back up, then Scopper's cooked. Good one, Volk. Dax said, someone in my Discord mentioned that this could be a Hero Look callback. Maybe Luffy can use the Atom Tree to heal. Could tie to Chopper and Biblo's convo too. Why Emu coughs up blood after leaving Eve. That'd be interesting. I mean, there is still Hero Look's mysterious cure and healing, you know. It would be cool if we get that. It's also something that I wouldn't be surprised if we get to the end of the story and that's just one of those things that just never gets answered. Because I feel like it should have gotten answered in Wano with all those cherry blossoms there. But Mookie said, Renee, please check 968 pages 4 and 5. Focus on how Roger talked, then go back to 648 and read what the Sea Kings say to Shirahoshi. Look, it's fine if Luffy is the other sovereign. I just don't want it. If it happens, it's fine. But I'd like to open the door to other possibilities until it gets confirmed.
Savage.
Let's see. Oh, Dax said, I'd like if Scopper got reverse seed and Luffy had to put the lessons he just learned to the test. You know, if somebody's got to get reverse seed, that's a good idea. Scopper getting reverse seed isn't a bad idea. I like that, actually. I hated the idea of, you know, Loki getting reverse seed. I'm glad that hasn't happened. Shout out to Kate Pro. Appreciate the super.
Ooh, I'm about to make a name for myself here.
She said, I can stay and finish what you think about Emu and Joy Boy friendship that ends in a misunderstanding and clash of beliefs, which leads to Emu never trusting anybody and using control to save the world. Who said this? Who's she? Let's see. Well, I know you said you had to go, so this is probably your girl. All right, I got you. Okay. What do I think about Emu and Joy Boy's friendship that ends in a misunderstanding and clash of belief, which leads to Emu never trusting anyone and using control to save the world? Obviously, we'll get all of this when we eventually get the Void Century flashback and everything like that. It's heavily implied that the two of them were friends. You know, this was also highly speculated and expected because it's a it's a staple, you know, in Oda's flashbacks and Oda's characters. that there's friendship is a theme throughout all of it. I think that I think there's going to be a jealousy factor at play. I think that that's something that's going to have to get explored. It could be a thing where things came all too easy for Joy Boy, but they were hard for Emu. And Emu grew resentful of how easy things would come for Joy Boy, maybe how he made friends, maybe he has the same power that Luffy had that Mihawk talked about. Jealousy is always a good tool for a character because you can take it in so many directions. And since Emu seems to have this like insatiable hunger where he just wants everything, he wants the world, he wants to conquer. He wants to, if he wants to be better than someone in particular, and he keeps talking about Joy Boy, like he won't stop. This guy's been dead for 800 years, but he will not stop talking about Joy Boy. So it's like, this guy really had Emu under a spell. Like, oh man, I've got to be able to be better than this guy, to do what he can do even more. And Joy Boy, like Luffy and maybe even Roger, probably just wanted to be free and amassed all of these friends and great things and treasure or whatever, and probably even invited Emu, you know, to be a part of the ride. But Emu sees that Joy Boy has, you know, all the accolades and is standing, you know, on the top, and that's where he wants to be. So he turns. Plants seeds, takes everything, and then he gets to eventually a point where now he's immortal, he has everything in the world, he is king, but he's also not free. He's shackled, he's trapped in the Holy Land. And this is the first time he's leaving, but he's on a timer. It's like when, you know, Goku left heaven for a day. He's got to get back at some point. This is not a permanent thing. He can't be on Elbaf forever. So I don't know if we have enough context in the story to really isolate everything, but there's a little bit of fan fiction for you. Dax said, totally agree, Randy. I do not want Reverse Seed Loki or Luffy. I don't think it would work on Luffy. Scopper could work, though, and if Scopper became Mountain Eater and Drum, Chopper could have a big moment, too, by saving him. It's interesting. I don't know if Chopper needs to tie into Scopper, but Chopper saving Scopper, you know, would definitely be a thing that would happen. Or Luffy realizes that, yeah, he can reverse-seed the reverse-seed people, too. Just like Chopper's doing. Shout out to Drenius, said, I don't think Luffy's a sovereign. If Shirahoshi is, and sovereigns are from these ancient countries, the second could be Loki. And then the Mosa connection can also be prophetical, intended by the parents. Well, people have said that Mosa could be Shirahoshi, you know, which is a little weird, but see what happens. I think it would be more interesting if Loki is the sovereign. But I don't know. We'll see. Moonki answered Drenius, and Roger literally said that the one the Sea Kings talked about is exactly the same one who will be born and surpass them. Yeah, but is it explicitly stated that the one that Roger expects to surpass them is one of the two sovereigns? Because then why isn't Roger saying that two people are going to show up? That's why I feel like Luffy's in his own class, and he should not be one of the sovereigns. That should be a separate thing, but yeah, we'll see. Shout out to Cape Pro. Appreciate it. Said, my headcanon says Emu was a lone guardian of the fruit tree. And then Joy Boy changed his mind and convinced him to share the world, but it threw the world in chaos or something like that. I mean, you know, you have the Adam and Eve trees, right? You have all of this, you know, these biblical ideas. You have this thing 400 years ago that this blue snake, Kashi, was the sun god. Snake imagery all over the story. Kaido eats a fruit, becomes a blue snake, believes that he's the second coming of Joy Boy. Why is this? What is this? What is this imagery with the snake, right? The Adam and Eve story, the snake on the tree, coercing someone to eat the fruit. But what if Oda flips it and it's like the snake is just this kind creature, like Chopper goes over, eats the Nika fruit, now turns into a human version of a snake, a blue snake person. If Emu is the, you know, the guardian of the tree or something like that, then, you know, they become friends. This is all fan fiction. I'm making this up, right? Emu is Joy Boy's Zoro. You know, following him around, like it's interesting to Emu. Like, here, wow, this person's interesting. They start going from place to place, and everybody's interested in Joy Boy. He's making them laugh, everything like that. But it's like, hey, whoa, I thought I was your friend. Now you have this person's your friend, and that person, and this, everybody's your friend? What about me? Now there's no time for your buddy. Grows resentful, turns into Emu. You know, that's one way to take what you're talking about, and you know, get on it. Shout out to João Paulo, said, for a non-Portuguese speaker, you practically nailed my name. I'm impressed. It's John Paul in English, like the two past popes. Thank you for letting me know, because I hate mispronouncing names, and you know, I took a shot there. So I'm glad I got it.
Savage.
Shout out to K Pro. Said, what if Joy Boy spreading joy was just giving people devil fruits, which was essentially gifting people their dreams? I love that. Actually, I really love that. But he's just going around with a Santa bag, handing them out. But what I also would like is if the fruits were like blank canvases. And then in the hands of each individual person, which, you know, I'm trying to tie it into like the sort of established lore that the dreams of the people created the fruits. So it's like if it's a blank canvas and then Joy Boy, like through his teachings or, you know, what he tells them or anything like that, he allows them to dream what they want and then the fruit becomes that or something. That'd be fun. And then you just see Joy Boy in the air against the moon with a big Santa bag of devil fruits. Pudding Stonify said, I still think they're setting something up with Usopp. Please, I hope so. He'll save someone somehow. He's been having several observation hockey moments, too many to ignore. You say too many to ignore, but I've been hurt before. He's got to do something. Which is why I was upset initially that Scopper came in, because I wanted it to be the crew. I wanted it to be Usopp, Nami, Frankie, Brooke, like all standing in front of Emu, like, no, you're not going to hurt my guy. It ended up being Scopper. It turned into one of the greatest chapters in all of One Piece. And one of the greatest speeches, you know. So. Mega Migs and Dax are having an interesting conversation about Life Return being part of like affecting the Conqueror's hockey. I don't know. I mean, I'd just love for the Six Powers to actually mean something again. Crush responded to K-Pro saying, that's interesting because it also leans into it being unclear which side was right, as Vegapunk said. The fruits also caused a lot of chaos. If Emu is trying to close Pandora's box, who's right? I like that also. It's always good when a villain has, you know, a reason for doing what they're doing. Even if it's wrong. Crush, remember for 21 months. Hit that. The croc emoji. Oh, speaking of this chapter was so good. I gotta do this.
Together we're stronger. Together we're stronger.
Mega Migs, Dax, Duran Rostuya, Yak OP, Sam Claffin. You got emojis. Belief thing might be related to the voice of all things, said Duran Rostuya. Probably. I can see that. There's those emojis. Gotta love it. We're still on break next week. I remember last time people were saying it was a magazine break. Is that right? Is that's still a thing? Is that's still true? Dak asks, what are my expectations for Shuri when she wakes up? It depends how she wakes up. When she wakes up, is she brainwashed? Sure, Gunko? Or is she Shuri? Because it would be nice to get an emotional reunion between her and Brooke, where like she's kind of like when Harold was lucid. If there's a part of her that knows what Emu's doing is wrong and what she's been doing for decades is wrong, she might give Brooke some key information that'll help us down the line. And to protect Brooke, she won't really, she'll care, but she won't really, mostly for Brooke, she'll know how to send Emu back. Which will probably end up with her, like, getting Saturned at the end of Egghead. But or maybe she just becomes an old woman. Becomes her age. Yes, break. Okay. Kip said Gunko needs to die. Shuri would be okay, though. She can get some closure. Dak said, and ultimately we'll get the Shuri-Brooke reunion, but whether that will happen when she wakes up, I don't know. Best case scenario, she wakes up and she is lucid Shuri. She apologizes to Brooke and then lets them know, like, how serious the situation is. Imagine Shuri becomes a skeleton like Brooke. That's dark. Because she doesn't have the Yomi Yomi, so she like fell apart in Brooke's arms, and like here's this skeleton holding another skull. Crying. That'd be wild. Too dark for One Piece, though. Jacob said, I don't want Scopper to die. He's such a cool OG figure. He gave him the type of speech an older Zoro would give. Actually, when I was reading it, I mentioned, like, this feels like when Zoro used to, like, check Luffy, which hasn't happened since, like, Punk Hazard. But I think it's because he gave that speech, he can die. Because he had this amazing fight with Emu, he can go out. And he will be remembered. But this is One Piece, so he's probably not going to die. Mookie said, Randy, why the disrespect on Odin earlier when he's the only reason Roger made it to Laugh Tale? He talked about waiting for Joy Boy. Even Yamato said to Kaido that Luffy is the one Odin waited for. I've kind of gone into this before, but Odin is one of my least favorite characters in the story. I appreciate what he did for Roger, and I appreciate what he did for Whitebeard. But I take a lot of issue with him from what he did to Wano. Everybody in Wano is just like, man, Odin is the best. Odin is so great. I love Odin. But when I read everything with Odin, I'm like, this is a man who just made mistake after mistake after mistake, and he was a flawed vision of masculinity that couldn't ask for help in the moment that he needed it. Which is fine for the story, because it's different than Luffy. But all of the issues that plagued Wano are Odin's fault, and it was so weird that no one really, like, said anything about that, which is one of the other issues I have with Wano. Yamato wanting to be Odin, like, okay, like, yeah, his death was, you know, cool. He, you know, stood on business, but dancing for 5 years and all of that stuff is like, it almost felt like Oda needed to line up the timeline in some way, and him getting back from Laugh Tale and seeing what's going on, and that his, well, not even before he even goes to Laugh Tale, when he comes to Wano and he sees that it's not in great shape, but Roger's mission's more important, so he's like, I gotta go. When he easily could have said, hey, Roger, Rayleigh, like, can you help me with this real quick? And then we'll go. But he didn't. It's just weird. And then even when he gets back, and it's even in worse shape, he doesn't say, hey guys, can you help me with this real quick? And then he tries to do it on his own. He fails. And then he doesn't try again for a while. And I know a lot of people like Odin, and that's fine. You know, like, you know, he's a Chad, sure. But it doesn't work for me. Duran said, Odin's a legend, but not all legends are the best people. Exactly. And it's like, that's fine. Odin's story sets up Wano. The mistakes that Odin made gives us the reason to be there and the reason why Luffy needed to do what he needed to do. That doesn't change the fact that the things that Odin did weren't good. So, yeah. Mookie said, I'm very sure that we'll look on Odin in a different way after we learn what the One Piece is, Roger's dream, and the whole truth. Hey, I hope so. Because look, I get the idea of like, hey, there's more important things in the world going on than what's happening in my hometown. Everybody's suffering. I can't stop what I'm doing just to save my wife and kids and people, because there's a million wife and kids all across the world that are getting plagued by, you know, this problem, and maybe I'm the one that can help stop it. But it still probably would have only taken like 24 hours to fix everything in Wano with Roger's crew. And they get to Laughdale, and it's like, oh, we're too early. So it didn't even matter. You actually did have time. You had time. But, yeah. Pika said, I agree with Randy about Odin. Growthsnog says, how does Odin compare to Harold? Do you like him more? Harold is okay. I'm not big on Harold either, because I feel like it's the same problem. Like, he didn't listen to the rocks. And he was so down bad for, like, being accepted by the government that he's a wonderful display of, like, wanting to get in bed with the wrong people. And then realizing that you messed up. Like, I mean, it's the same situation. His faults are his own. His undoing is all on his own. Other than that, like, I liked what Harold stood for. I liked his interactions with Ida. I liked that he cared about his kids. But he made mistakes that I can't sanction. So I don't like that. But as a whole, I like the Harold flashback better than I like the Odin flashback. But 967, 968 are better chapters than the entire Harold flashback. At least the parts with Harold. But the Odin flashback is, like, unfortunately, like, other than getting to Laughdale and the stuff with Rightbeer and Roger, is like it's kind of a low point for me. And I do hope that it gets better later on, and I trust that it will, because most things do. People didn't like Thriller Bark when it was coming out. Now people love Thriller Bark. Plenty of arcs. What's Oda setting up? 10 years later. Oh, okay. Yeah, cool. This is great, retrospectively. Dak said Odahime is the GOAT. Now that's a character, though. That's a good character. Odahime is great. She does not get enough love. And she was always great. Even when people, when people are still iffy on Fishman Island. Fishman Island is definitely one of those arcs that's going to get better retroactively once all of the things that are set up there come to pass, like the prophecy and the destruction of Fishman Island and all of that. Fisher Tiger was also goated, but that's not even a hot take. Everybody knows that. But people do forget about Odahime, like the casual reader. Dak said he's got Harold over Odin, but they're quite similar. Yeah, it's like they're still, if I'm making a tier list, they're still pretty low, but I probably do have Harold over Odin right now. Like those are like two of the biggest screw ups in the story, though. Like, legitimately, mistake after mistake, like just fumbles. Brett Fairchild said, "Hey Randy, I'm working on a theory that Oda is taking massive inspiration from the Bronze Age collapse, the mysterious sea people blamed for it, and how Egypt absorbed and erased the sea people." Well, that's interesting. I don't know if I'm familiar with that. You should check out the Bronze Age collapse and sea people. I think Oda's riffing on that hard for One Piece ancient world lore. Huh. Well, when you put it all together, share it with the Discord. I'll check it out. I'm always into like the real world lore that Oda could be drawing from. TSMC Cruz said, "Cried a little. Felt crushing to see Luffy in the mud. And I get the Pirate King thing, but seeing Bond give that dose of reality felt like for him to get that throne, he's got to change who he is." But I've been kind of saying that for a while, so I'm glad someone said it to him. I loved it. Duran said Nolan is kind of another version of those mistake characters. You're not lying, but I got Nolan way above the Odin and Harold. Because Nolan, much like Harold, put his trust in the wrong person. But in the end, he still stood by his friend. So that's what I respect. And Harold, he didn't stand by rocks. Not in the way that he should have. But they also didn't have the same relationship that Nolan and Calgara did. But I mean, like, but that's still like, he didn't ride for his boy. And I don't like that. And then with the Odin thing, it's kind of the opposite. It's like Odin is the boy that nobody rode for. Not the people that needed to ride for him. All the people that were riding for him were the wrong people. Because they couldn't do nothing. All the samurai, they weren't strong enough. Oh, Odin died? Whitebeard did not turn that ship around and go for revenge. He just, like, that's one of, like, the craziest Whitebeard moments. Oh, Odin made his choices. Nah. But that's what makes Luffy different. I feel like Luffy would have turned the boat around. Did I see the new Spider-Man movie? I did see the new Spider-Man movie. Yup. Let's see. All right. I think I'm going to start wrapping things up, guys. I think this was a great chapter, a great stream. I think we had some like phenomenal discussions. Anybody wants to get some last things in, let's drop them in here. But I'm going to start winding down. Yep said that movie was awesome. Yeah, I enjoyed Spider-Man for the fact that they've been kind of doing Spider-Man dirty in the MCU. Like the first two movies, he's just cleaning up Iron Man's messes. Third movie, he's cleaning up Tobey and Andrew's messes. And then in this one, he's kind of cleaning up his own mess, but I mean, like, it's still not there for me in that, like, in that regard. I didn't like almost any of the Ned and MJ stuff. I hate forgotten memory stories. I was mad with like the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 with, you know, Gamora stuff, and the Loki TV show. Oh, it's Loki, but he didn't have the experiences that turned him into the Loki that we liked. You know, like that kind of stuff is crazy. So the memories stuff, but like Punisher was awesome. I think they needed a wrap up with Hulk. It was, the Hulk stuff was cool, but like we needed one more thing. Like them just carting him away and then no wrap up was wild. And then setting up the X-Men. This is all I've ever wanted in the MCU, so like that part of it I loved. The hand just working for the damage control was really out of place though. And then Spider-Man just like saying like, "Oh yeah, that's cool." was crazy. I mean, you set up in all of these like TV shows that the hand is like this really awful organization, but like they're just going to be bodyguards for damage control. I heard that like the villain was supposed to be Mr. Negative and then probably the hand with it, and that makes more sense. And then that footprint is like all over the story. So I think they made some changes. Jacob said Spidey was so fun for me, reminded me of watching the 90s cartoon. Yeah, I mean, I loved all the stuff with Spider-Man, like the swinging, everything. Like, I'm glad Scorpion was in the movie, although Scorpion's one of my favorite villains, so I actually wish that he was a bigger part of the movie, but I knew from the trailers and like the promotion and everything, I'm like, this guy's gonna be in the movie for 5 minutes. I think they could have expanded that. What I'll say is that I think that out of all of the Tom Holland Spider-Man movies, this one was my favorite, but it still has issues. Because more than anything, it's a $250 million ad for the X-Men movie that's going to be coming out, instead of like just the Spider-Man movie. But I'm also happy the X-Men are coming, so. Have you seen the X-Men castings? Yeah. And it's crazy, too, because it was like right before the Samara Weaving thing came out for Emma Frost. Chrissy and I were talking, and we'll spitball about, like, you know, like castings and stuff. It's like, who should be, and like Emma Frost is a character that like Chrissy really loves. And we were like throwing some names out. And then I was just like, you know, it'd be great. Samara Weaving, and we both looked at each other and we were just like, yeah, that would actually be awesome. And then it was like probably like 2 or 3 days later that like it got announced, which is wild. So I'm happy about that. And then I hope this X-Men movie does not have Wolverine in it and they don't bring him in into like a sequel or something. But I'd like Matt Wood. I want like a comic accurate Wolverine. I don't need a Hugh Jackman-esque character actor. For the Cyclops casting, I don't know if I've seen Kit Connor in anything. So I've just got to put blind faith into that one. Jen said, really, Randy? The villains were weak in comparison to No Way Home. But my issue with No Way Home is like, yeah, it's a fun movie. It's cool, but why? For nostalgia, I don't need Willem Dafoe and Alfred Molina to come back. I need Tom Holland to have his own Norman Osborn, his own Otto Octavius. I don't need him to have the old ones. And for Willem Dafoe to come out of a portal as someone completely unknown to Tom Holland, known to us, but not to Tom Holland, and then to be responsible for Aunt May's death, should have been someone that like had a personal relationship with this Peter, not another Peter. So like, it's fun. I like that Doctor Strange is in that movie and everything, and I rewatched it before going into it, and I thought it wasn't going to hold up, and it did. It did hold up. It was still fun. But I just got issues with that I can't shake. Mega Mig said, I heard they were going to come and have them come out for Comic-Con, but got canceled. Hopefully we see something at D23. The rumor is that we'll get X-Men casting at D23. I think they were never going to do it at Comic-Con, because if they did, they would have had to reveal Sadie Sink's character. And they wanted to keep that reveal until the following week when Spider-Man came out. Now that Spider-Man is out, they can announce the entire cast for X-Men. And they've been working very hard to finalize these deals, so we'll see. So, but anyway, that's fun. I mean, shifted away from the One Piece talk to talk about Spider-Man, but and X-Men. I'm always down for all kinds of comic talk anyway. But yeah. I'm gonna run, guys. I think I think that's it for today. Love this chapter. Love everything with Scopper and everything that you said to Luffy. It was fantastic. What do I think their approach is with Vision Quest? I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen with Vision Quest. I'll be seated, but like I don't know. At this point, I'm just waiting for Lanterns. That's what I'm excited for right now, and that'll be next week. Looking forward to Black Panther 3 Ghost. I'm looking forward to all of it. I take it all in, guys. Predictions for the next chapter. If Luffy is healing himself, I think we'll get an answer to that. Hopefully we have, hopefully what Scopper said resonated with Luffy. And that he actually, takes it to heart and does something about all of this. He gets fueled by Scopper's defeat. Goes Super Saiyan. Starts attacking Emu. I think we're actually at a point where we should go somewhere else. We should have 2 to 3 pages over with the Shuri stuff. 2 pages with Robin. What Robin is doing has any bearing on what's going to happen with Emu, then that needs to get set up. So sit in the defeat of Scopper. Is there any sort of a plan with the Shuri stuff and with those guys over there? And then Luffy's got to get fired up in some way or get defeated. Ultimate defeat. I mean, not that it's going to happen in the next chapter, but we got to start pushing this towards the end game of all of it. Oh yeah, the popularity poll. The results hadn't come out yet. Be fun. All right, guys. I'll see you for 1191. Everybody have a great 2 weeks. Take care, and as always, thanks. This was a sensational chapter. Sensational.
Sensational.
Later, everybody.
I've been swimming deep, deep. Savage.